Let's build freedom!
G'day everyone out there in podcast land. You've probably heard the sayings, you only get what you put in, you are what you eat and all that jazz. How many people are consuming too much stress on a day-to-day basis? And today we've got Sammy here from Nutrition With Sammy to talk about exactly that. So Sammy, I guess you talk to a lot of people. You talk to anyone from business owners to children about how to make sure they're putting the right things into their mouth. What have you found that are just some absolute no-nos that people are doing out in the field?
Well, everyone's trying to copy everyone else, and that is a big no-no because we're all completely individual. And I'm finding that's the problem. People are coming to me and they're trying everyone else's diets that are suited for their body. And we kind of are like sheep when it comes to the health and wellness world.
It's really always a quick fix type solution that people look for, a tablet
Yeah.
here or jump on juicing for a week and wonder why the weight hasn't disappeared or the mindset hasn't changed. Is it?
Exactly. Yeah. And I find from a lot of people that I see, it has nothing to do with what they're eating and everything to do with how they're behaving. So
Tell me more about that. So what are people doing that you're seeing? Like, is it behavioral conditioned responses around the food that they're consuming? Or tell me a bit more about that.
I'd say it's the way that we've set up the world we're in. It's really hard to human in the way that we've set up the world. And we're all in this flight and fight, if you've heard of that term before, flight and fight. And we're switching our digestive system off and our nervous systems are in overdrive. And we're sitting there having our lovely squeezed juices and our salads and all the things that we're told are great for us, but none of us are actually. Yeah, exactly. And we're sitting there stressing about things while we're eating and consuming, and our nervous systems are actually ready to run away from tigers, not digesting food. And I find that's where a lot of the problem is. We aren't slowing down. We aren't chewing our food. We've forgotten how to breathe, and it's just causing chaos.
With that, like chewing is so important just with the different chemicals that it releases and your saliva to break down food. And I find more and more fast food seems like you don't even need to chew anymore. Not that fast food should be the way to go, but it's the fast that people seem to consume. What are you finding that just chewing more will make it better, or is it breathing in for 3 seconds, holding for 5, and then breathing out before you start consuming food? Or
It sounds a bit full on, doesn't it? So when we take a breath before we eat, we're telling our body that it's actually safe, and it's allowing our body to get the stomach acid rolling in. So that's really important to break down the food when it reaches our stomach, right? And if you have terrible stomach acid and there's not enough, you're actually not breaking down the food. Because I often tell people, like, you look at a banana, for example, and pretend it's made up of those little, you look like you enjoy Lego, like the little nano blocks.
Lego sitting right behind me in that box. You're right.
I know, right? And I try and tell people that your digestive system, its job is to break it down into those teeny tiny little micro pieces. And in order to do that, your factory inside you, that digestive system, needs to actually working properly. And so one of the first ways to do that is to slow down, tell your body there's food coming so that your brain gets the message to get all of this factory switched on. So there's digestive acids, you've got your digestive enzymes, all that stuff is working. So by the time we actually chew and swallow, it's ready to break down. And so, for example, I often say protein. So we think of protein, it's made up of lots of teeny tiny little amino acids. Those amino acids are required to make neurotransmitters, things that make us feel amazing and motivated. And we're not getting those because we're not breaking down the protein strains properly. We've got this unbroken down Lego that's in our body and it's stuck together. We're not breaking it down properly and it's coming out the other end whole for a lot of us.
No, we want.
Yeah.
We're spending a lot of money on stuff that we're just flushing away, I guess, in a sense.
Exactly. And the chewing sensation is so important. Like I say, up to 32 times with meat in particular, because that's quite a hard thing to chew. I mean, you wouldn't do that with a
32
banana, obviously.
Chews.
32 times chewing.
Yep.
Because we're all in such a rush. We've forgotten that we have teeth for a reason and we don't have teeth here. And we're actually putting a lot of pressure on our digestive system simply by not doing a lot of the mechanical work up here. And we have enzymes that break down the food up here. So we're already digesting it in our mouth. How long are you chewing your food for?
That's true, yeah. And well, I just pointed out, I've got a freshly squeezed juice. If I sat there and ate all the ate all the vegetables and fruit that have gone into it, then I'm sure it'd be much better for me than just a juice.
Exactly. And I think we've forgotten how important chewing is. We're eating all this quick go-to foods, like you were saying. They've actually read an article. I can't remember what book it was but it was talking about how our jaw and our structure's changing because we're not chewing anymore, and that's why we're getting all these overbites and issues with breathing. Because when we have overbites, it causes issues at night with sinuses and all sorts, just from not chewing our food anymore.
So in a sense, we're de-evolving to suit the food they're eating.
Yeah, exactly. We're just quick shakes and protein shake here and off we go. And we're all about quick. We've forgotten that we're supposed to slow down. And I love what the Europeans do, how they all sit down at the table and actually laugh and are connected with the food that they're eating because it's that nostalgic feeling for them. But for us, we're all about, I've got to eat something so I can keep going.
Yeah, well, I was actually going to bring that up. Like in Italy, they'll sit down for hours and hours, and
Yeah.
the set many more courses than what we would have, smaller bites though, and consumed over a
Yeah.
longer period, where it is more sociable, if anything, ceremonious. Yeah, and that is definitely missing when I think like
We don't sit at the dinner table anymore.
now the go-tos chuck on Netflix and zombie out while
Sit
you're
in front of
throwing
TV.
something in your gob.
Yeah, exactly. And I find a lot of families that I've worked in with, they don't do the dinner table because they're all doing sports. They've got 3 or 4 kids and they're in different sports every night. And it's like, we'll just get Mancas on the way or just something really quick, eat it in the car on the way. We don't have time to sit down and have a meal. We've created this lifestyle. It's quite a conundrum we've created for ourselves, isn't it?
Yeah, and even if you're trying to do the right things, like even if you went, let's just go straight back to organic veggies, fruit, and meat, it's still not going to have the same nutrition as what it did 50 years ago. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's not in the soil. And this is the problem. We are factory farming everything. We're even just turning our soil. All the minerals that our body needs are meant to be in the soil because when we plant the seeds, it goes into the food. And if it's not in the soil, it's not in our food. And so we're lacking things like magnesium and zinc and all these wonderful things that are supposed to be good for our digestive system as well. So
We're
we're just
supplementing that with
consuming.
supplements.
Yeah, I know. And then people are buying supplements, and some of them, I was actually having this conversation yesterday, some of them are just empty supplements and not like enough to make a difference. And it's just a waste of money. Or some of them are too much and you don't need them and it's got expensive whey, let's be honest.
I'm a killer when it comes to Barocca, I guess, in that sense, and
Oh, no, don't tell me that.
I have been known.
I can't take that.
And you were saying everyone's different earlier, and
Yes.
pretending is the way that our teeth are formed, at least originally, was so that we're consuming a certain amount of meat and majority things that you're having to grind down, more like your vegetables,
Yeah.
things like that. Do you think that, as a generalization, the ratio of meat to plant-based food or vegetables and fruit is on point or not for where we sit in Australia?
I honestly think every single person's different because in Australia in particular, we are so multi-generational, cultured, ethnic backgrounds that, often I say it goes to where your heritage is and where you've grown up. So, for example, in Asia, they can't have a lot of dairy in parts of Asia because they don't have that sort of lineage. Whereas in Australia, we're interbred. We've bred with so many different cultures that some of us really struggle with wheat. Some of us are great with potatoes instead. And I just find everyone's different. I've got a friend who's really great on a vegetarian diet, and she's got quite a long digestive system. So it takes a while for her body from here to there. Let's
Yep.
just say that.
Yep.
But for me, I'm quick. I'm go, go, go. I did the vegan diet for a while because for ethnic reasons, I wanted to do that. Ethical reasons.
I knew what you
know
meant.
I meant. Ethnic reason. And it really, really didn't agree with me. I got extremely sick after 6 weeks. And for me, having quite a quick digestive system and short, having more meat, animal-based products works really well for me. So leaning more on the carnivore side. But that doesn't agree with some other people. So I often say it's like your fingerprint when it comes to what you eat. So John across the road could do maybe 200 grams of a steak with one potato and a half a plate of veggies and be fine. But that if you struggle with carbohydrates, maybe you could only have half a potato and 100 grams of meat and more vegetables. Like it comes down to listening to your body. And I think that's where the problem is we don't have the space and the time to listen to our body anymore.
And the education piece, I think, as well. It's not that
Yeah.
people are intentionally just eating too quick. It's just like that's what we've been conditioned to do. I think we haven't been told
Yes.
there's a better way. We haven't been taught about sort of macro and micro food groups and
Yeah.
how they're meant to be consumed in your body and what they do with you. There's a book by
Yeah.
T. Ferriss called The 4 Hour Body, which
Yeah.
I've read, which I think is great. And that's got me right into, I guess, body hacking in a sense.
Yeah.
So I went on the
I think my hubby is the same. He says to me, I try all these things just to see what works for me. It's not because I'm following a trend. It's because I genuinely want to find out what works for my body. And I often find like just go with, a piece of, if you eat meat, like a piece of protein about the size of your palm, carb about the size of your fist, and then the rest of the plate sort of your more salady stuff. If you can break that sort of stuff down, I struggle to eat salads, like cold salads, because I'm more of a warm person, and I found I'm better with stews and soups as opposed to raw salads. I'm not good with the cold stuff. That's why I've been walking around with the robe on.
I definitely.
Yeah.
Did you think that the diet types come down to blood types? Is there a connection between that there?
There's been a lot of research into that. To be honest, I didn't go down that pathway. I found in my clinic, some people would come in and tell me that they're on it, and it was somewhat working for them. But I think the reason it was working is because they weren't eating things that were quite inflammatory. So they'd removed them. I don't know whether it was because they were following a blood type diet or whether they were removing the inflammatory foods like a lot of wheat and things like that. So, yeah, I think out of all the diet fads that I've seen, there's one that I found that worked really, really well in my clinic, and it was looking at a test called pH 360. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it talks about the 6 different body types, and you fall into one of those 6 body types, and it gives you an idea of what sort of foods are suited for your body type. Yeah, so I thought that was it seemed to work really well with a lot of the people that I was working in with.
How does so? That was one of my one of the things I was going to ask you. How do you work out your fingerprint? So is that a method that you? Or how do you work out what is the right food for you? Good.
Yeah, I think again, slowing down listening. I actually do not fitness pal kind of thing, but writing down signs and symptoms that go along with when you're eating food.
Mhm.
So kind of like a food diary. And things like getting tired when you eat is a big indicator of whether or not you're good at consuming what you're having. So if you're having a big bowl of oats in the morning and you're getting really tired, maybe starting the day with carbs is not a good idea for you. You might need more of a protein-based start. So those kinds of things. Looking at bowel movements. So, for example, I don't know how gross you want to get into this
Let's
conversation.
get into it. Let's
but
get into the weeds.
yeah, I know, right? Floating stools, for example, if your stools float, your poop, that is, you could have fat malabsorption. So maybe you've got too much fat. I find some people who do keto diets, some of them don't agree with people if you've got really full-on issues with breaking down too much fat in your diet. And because a lot of people, you eat more fat to convert it into the energy in keto, but it doesn't work for some people. So that kind of diet doesn't seem to work. Yeah. Yeah. So your body's always telling you it wants to be healthy. It wants homeostasis. So it wants to be balanced with everything around it, including what you're putting in it. So it's constantly telling you, like, if you've got itchy skin or maybe your nails aren't growing, something's telling you something's not working. Yeah.
My journey with food and my relationship with food, I think, so I did start when I was dealing with really, really bad eczema on my hands, or cracking apart. I couldn't even use a mouse on the keyboard or the keyboard because I couldn't move my fingers, which is pretty bad for my line of work.
No. Yes, definitely.
And so I went to an allergy clinic, and they gave me a list of 50 different things that I had to try and cut out of my diet. And I looked and went, this is too many things. And they said, cut them out for 2 to 3
Yeah.
weeks. So I just cut them all out and looked at what wasn't on their list. And I had never felt better after that. Slept better,
Yeah.
better cognitive function. You don't feel like that
Wow.
lethargy after eating. You kind of you
Yeah, you're not
become more
supposed to be
symbiotic.
tired after you eat,
Yeah.
unless you're eating too much.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to say 9 out of 10 is what you should be eating, not when you're absolutely full, when you're like, I can feel that food
Yeah.
is there. Maybe stop.
Exactly. But like you were saying before, it's been conditioned into us. I remember when I was at the table, we had to eat because of the starving children in Africa. And if you didn't eat everything on your plate, they would die. And it was awful. So it was kind of like trauma. You had to eat everything on your plate.
I think every child's been told that, and I don't know any of the food
I,
from our plates ever made it to Africa. So I guess
I know. And so now it's like we've lost that connection on the hunger. So we've been taught to eat until we feel full and bloated. And it looks really sus in the camera. I've actually got a dog on my lap. I'm not patting myself.
no one was questioning it.
Yeah, so yeah, I find that, and this is what I try and teach kids in the workshops that I run. I try and get them to listen to their body and when it feels full, when it feels hungry, learning, whether we're hungry or whether it's our appetite. So, for example, if you go into an all-you-can-eat buffet and you eat and eat, and then when you leave, you go past a cookie factory and you can smell cookies, and you're like, "Oh, I want one of them." Are you hungry or is it your appetite? Like it's learning those things. Yeah.
Yeah, eating because you're bored.
Yeah. Emotional eating. Actually, what you'll find interesting is we were talking about all the different foods and inflammatory before, but I actually had a lot of clients that would come into my clinic and they would change their diet and everything, and it would somewhat work. But then they go on holidays away from work, away from toxic relationships, away from bullying, all the things. They go on holidays and they would eat terribly and they would feel better than when they were here. And it goes to show, is it the food or is it your environment and lifestyle
Yeah,
that's impacting on absorption of
and
nutrients?
as you say, like
Mm.
you're on holidays. I guess it depends on the holiday, but most of the time you're there
Yeah.
to relax, and you're probably
Yeah.
going to be enjoying the food more instead of just scoffing it down your throat.
Exactly, and you're more out of the to-do lists that are never ending for us all. You're out of that rat race and the never-ending cycle that we put ourselves in. And this is what I try and tell people in the workshops that I run for adults. I'm like, you're overstimulated and undernourished because you're just constantly ticking off boxes and you're not present in your body. I often tell people they need to land the plane. They're in flight mode. Autopilot, land the plane and be present with what you're putting in your mouth. Mm.
Are there specific foods or snacks that you would recommend for boosting focus during a long work day for people that are kind of, I guess that you need to make a change somewhere. Nothing changes if nothing
Yeah.
changes. What would be the first step?
Yeah, exactly. So I find the biggest brain fog and depleting of all. What's that? No, there you go.
Nothing
Nothing changes
changes if
if
nothing
nothing changes.
changes.
I find I get a lot of people to add a bit of protein and fats into their snacks and their diet throughout the day because it's going to help with balancing your blood sugar. Blood sugar is probably the biggest stressor on most people, and it causes your body to be in a bit of panic. Too much sugar in your blood is death. And so your brain and your body are trying to balance that all day long. And it can lead to things like brain fog. Um, you're not motivated to do anything because you're just tired. So balancing that by starting the day with a good amount of protein um, I often tell people to do that. Like if you're just having a bowl of cereal or a piece of toast with jam, it's going to not be setting you up. Or even just starting your day with a coffee, it's not going to be setting you up, and you're going to be boarding the sugar roller coaster. And that's just going to be the worst thing for you for the rest of the day because you're chasing yourself. So, snacks, I'm thinking if you can eat nuts, keep them at your desk, have a handful of nuts every now and then. I actually like beef jerky, like the good stuff, not the weird processed stuff. I get a bit of that in my diet. In the afternoon, I find people need a bit of a pick me up. So I often
3 p.m.
do, I can
lull.
have a little, yeah, I know. Rather than walking to the vending machine, get some things into you. Like I do a bit of guacamole with some veggie sticks. Sometimes I will make myself like a parfait with parfait, sounded fancy, with some berries and some like full fat yogurt, like these. And I think most people listening kind of know to do this, but they don't.
Yeah.
And that's where it lies, is why do we do what we do when we know what we know? Why do we go to the KFC drive-through and then have a glass of wine when we get home, when we know it's not going to be great for us, but we do it anyway? And that's where the key lies. I found in my clinic, I think people knew what they needed to do. And so we would unpack that. And quite often it was stress and emotions that would lead them to these poor choices. It's a conundrum we've created, the society that we've created. Keeping up with the Joneses, we have to keep doing and look amazing and master everything so that we are liked and seen as, as successful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
You know what I mean?
like we were pointing out earlier, the food types that we've eaten have more fat, salt, sugar in them than they've ever had. And sometimes
Yeah.
the thought pattern is, oh, I've had such a big day. I've been working for 12 hours. I deserve this glass of wine. I deserve this.
Yeah.
The reward thing. You're going, well, I deserve this. And it's not the right mindset, because you don't deserve
Yeah.
going over the
It's
weight.
a way to love yourself.
Yes, that's right.
Can you get love from something else? Like when you come home and you have your chocolate butter and your glass of wine, it's okay if you're doing it. Like if you go into someone's house and celebrating, like I don't demonize food at all, but if you're doing it every night as a way to comfort yourself, then you kind of need to go, well, what's missing? Why am I feeling unloved? What do I need to feel?
Complete.
Because it's a dopamine hit that you get from those foods, right? And quite often we can get the same from going for a walk with our dog. I know it sounds crazy, but you can get the same sort of satisfaction.
6-degree mornings, it does sound crazy.
Yeah, that does. My dog's been getting up at 1 o'clock in the morning
Yuck.
to go to the toilet. I don't know what that's about.
No, you got to stop that.
It's so cold.
For any of our listeners out there that are keen to hear a bit more from Sammy, how can they get in contact with you to make sure that they're on the straight and narrow, and they are changing and making sure that they're doing the better for themselves, better for their
Yes.
business and their mindset?
Yeah, definitely. You can get in contact with me. I hang out on Instagram mostly. So if you're on Instagram, Nutrition with Sammy, I'm there and I'm in my stories. You'll get to see my beautiful boy, Midas, if you're looking at the screen. But if you're listening, he's here. And I'm also, if you want to email me, hello@nutritionwithsammy.com.au. My website's having a bit of an overhaul, but I'm going to be having programs on there soon, so you can do some fun stuff there. But yeah, I've got, you can book me in as a speaker, or you can book me in to come into your workplace or your kid's school. That's what I do. I entertain and educate and bit of comedy on the side. And I have a book coming out too, so watch that space.
That was my next question, was what's your favorite resource or book that people can dive into to check out? Feels like you chuck a plug in.
I
Tell us
kind
all
of
about the book.
The book is actually on my story with panic disorder. I had panic disorder as a little girl, and that's how I got into nutrition. I realized just how complex the human body is, and yeah, I discovered nutrition. So it talks about my story with panic disorder and how I built resilience and turned it into a superpower.
Love it. That's cool.
Yeah.
And obviously the podcast is called Business Built Freedom. What's business freedom to you?
Oh, business freedom. Being able to do whatever I want. I love that. Business freedom for me is being able to be creative. I love that. If that makes sense to you.
Yeah,
It makes
100%.
sense to me.
Yeah.
Creative. I feel lost when I can't be in my creative. It makes me anxious when I can't be in my creative.
I think it's good when you can sort of be in that jam and you know you can, to a degree, love what you're doing until you don't, and then do something else and get someone else to do the bit that you're no longer interested in. So it's always fresh and new.
Yeah.
You're always learning.
Yeah, exactly. I have to keep expanding, otherwise I go crazy. Yes.
Well, I've loved having you on the show. If anyone wants to reach out and speak with Sammy, we'll make sure the details are in the in the show notes as well as in the blog articles. Feel free to jump across, leave us a review, give us some love and some feedback, and reach out to Sammy. And Sammy, thank you very much for being on the show.
You're welcome.